Chairman of the Southampton Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Joining me up this evening is Jane, Claire, Jeff Broadleaf, and Susan Stevenson. We have 4 people, therefore we have quorum. So motion to open tonight's meeting of the Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Joining us tonight, we should have our Planning Director, Alex Wallach, is on Zoom. We have Alice Cooley, our counsel. Sage is running all things audio video in the back, and Jackie is our recorder for the meeting tonight. So with that, we will get going. First thing on the agenda tonight is minutes approval from the meeting of November 27th. Did everyone have a chance get the meeting minutes and have a chance to read them?
Yep. Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes from November 22nd. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up on the agenda are written decisions. The first is a written decision for 2 Meadow Lane LLC for demolition of existing structures and construction of a 2-story single-family dwelling with porch and patios. Is there anything to add, Alice?
No.
Okay. So motion, did everyone receive the written decision, have a chance to read it? Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, so motion to approve the written decision for 2 Meadow Lane LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, sir. Next on the agenda is the written decision for 292 Ox Pasture LLC for construction of a 2-story single-family dwelling. Anything to add, Alice?
Nope.
Okay. Did everyone get the decision, have a chance to read it?
Yep.
Any comments or corrections?
Nope.
Okay. So motion to approve the written decision to approve 292 Ox Pasture Road. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're welcome. Next is 92 Cooper's Neck Lane for 92 CLN LLC for driveway gates. Did everyone have a chance to read the written decision?
We did. Yep.
Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Motion to approve the written decision for 92 Cooper's Neck Lane for driveway gates. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a number of adjournment requests tonight, so I'm just going to run through them. So motion to approve the adjournment request for AWN or On Holdings LLC at 31 Pheasant Close to January 8th. 300 North Main Street LLC at 300 North Main Street to January 8th. 242 South Main Street to January the 8th. Garrett Pike, 62 Dale Street to January 8th. And 840 Meadow Lane to February 12th. Is there a second? I've got one more. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have one more adjournment, which is for 98 Pheasant Close East. And I believe this is the 3rd adjournment.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if it's not, next week will be. So I just want to, the policy is if something is adjourned 3 times, then we ask it to be renoticed. And I just want the applicant to know that before we approve the request to adjourn. With that, motion to approve the request for Ronald and Sandy Diamond at 98 Pheasant Close East to adjourn to January 22nd. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. That brings us to the first thing on the agenda, which is sign permits for El Verano, 10 Windmill Lane for 2 wall signs. Is the applicant here?
Christopher Gaynor, 30 Newberry Lane, Southampton, New York. I think we have a miscommunication here because the application was for a wood sign that says El Verano in the font that's there and with the color that's there. And it's a wood sign. The sign is made out of wood.
Could you do me a favor? Do you have pictures? Can you put them on the desk facing
I
me?
don't. I put it in with the thing, but this is the original application.
Do you want to write this down? I have it for some reason.
Yeah.
Just so the public can see what we're talking about. If you put them on the table facing us. That's
So
what,
this is the sign that's there.
yeah.
And we do have a building permit.
Okay, can you flip the sign around to face us?
Sign?
That's what the camera picks it up.
Yeah, no, we have a building permit on the
Yeah.
building
Well,
from Job's Lane, come all the way around, and when we do that, we're also painting the stucco and repairing the stucco on the Windmill Lane side. We're not changing anything, we're just repairing. The Job's Lane side, we have permission to change the facade. So when we do that, we're gonna be painting, these signs have to come down anyway. Chef Julian's,
Do me a favor, yeah, either pull that microphone closer to you.
Chef
You
Julian's.
can pull it toward you.
Yeah.
That'll make it easier.
Chef Julian's cabinet maker in the city made these signs out of interior grade plywood because he was just trying to get open for the summer. And I doubt they're going to last very long, but I have to take them down to restore the stucco in the spring. So we may look into other things, but I don't know what differs from that, other than it says Mexican soul to what was originally applied
Okay,
for.
there is some history in this, Jeff. You were on the sign committee. Let's start with you.
Now I may have to get to the computer. I think it was submitted as an engraved sign or something to that effect, and then what went up was a painted wood sign or something to that effect. And I know John had an issue with that discrepancy or some elements of that. The sign that's being presented here or the sign that's up, I find to be suitable. But I'm not clear now what is being presented and whether Chris is saying that the sign that's up there now is just a temporary sign.
Well, the sign that's up there now,
Mm-hmm.
the actual physical sign, is not going to survive the winter. And El Verano had it made. They put it up. They jumped into renting this restaurant
Yeah.
at a very late in the game,
Yeah.
so they didn't have a lot of time to make decisions. So while we're through the winter, we're going to discuss. If you look at historically the pictures of, there you can see it
Yeah.
here, the restaurant has always had a very different identity than the rest of the building. This is all this is all called 10 Windmill Lane, by the way, and it's the same tax map number. So if you see where the restaurant ends, the trim goes to navy blue. So this side's always had a different identity. So while we're planning this over the winter, we may ask for a color change on the trim to match the restaurant. But the sign has to come down for me to restore the stucco.
It almost sounds like
Okay,
the sign is a
let me
temporary.
back up. Let me see if I can get some clarity here.
No.
Originally, you guys put an application in for a sign, which is not that sign actually, because and we can figure this out, but on the 11th of July, we got this information from the building inspector, which was spoke to Chris Gaynor, contractor, and he said it's a temporary sign made of plywood that won't last the weather, while they wait for the engraver to finish the ARB approved sign. They also needed a sign for the liquor authority in order to open,
Right.
which is that sign.
All that is
So,
true.
That is not your. So what you're really asking us tonight is permission just to leave that sign up until such time as you do renovation over the winter, and then you're coming with a new sign application?
I think that's what we would like to do now, just so that we can keep moving forward and do it. The engraved sign was a miscommunication between myself and Chef Medina.
Okay.
I think I envisioned something, and I apologize. But he was trying to open, and I was in the middle of getting stuff on all over town open, and I was running fast.
Okay.
But in the spring, we are going to be, you guys give us permission to remove that pediment over the door and renovate the side of 99 and 101 Job's Lane.
Are you taking over that space?
I remember that also, yes.
No, we're not taking it over. I work for the landlord too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so no.
From
no.
our perspective, we're just going to talk about it.
Right, yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, when I do that, I'm going to be restoring the stucco the whole way down the building. So the signs are coming down.
And you're here because the building inspector came over at our request to see what was
Yes,
going
sir.
on with the sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about, can we allow him to leave the sign up as is through a particular date, at which point they'd have to come back? Now, the other thing I would mention to Chris, and I know Chris is very much into the history of architecture, that this is within the historic district, so any changes, material or otherwise, so when you're saying you're repairing the stucco, that really has to come before this board.
And for
It
color.
did.
That
It did?
It did, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is only
Yeah.
about the sign.
Me
Yes,
and
sir.
Okay.
Jane remember.
We're not
Okay.
changing we're not changing the color.
Never mind.
We're not changing
All
the
right.
color or the
So
texture.
here's
We're
where-
strictly
Okay.
doing a restoration
Okay.
on it.
Here's where I think practicality, because you're in winter next week. So you're telling me somewhere over the next 3 months, or some of the next 4 months,
Yeah.
you're going to do work on that, and that sign's coming down
I
anyway.
was going to try to do it in the
Okay.
fall. We just.
And
we
at
got
which point
close out.
you're coming to us with a new permanent sign, because these are coming down.
If that's what you would like, yes.
That's what I would say about that sign is it reads flat and it reads sort of like a logo spray painted on wood, which it kind of is. And what we'd look, and from my perspective, I think the scale's just a little bit large in terms of the scale. It could come down a little bit. But if what you're saying is leave it there until you do the repair work, and you plan to do that repair work in April, is what
April,
I'm
May,
hearing.
yeah, we're not going
Okay.
to get close to Memorial Day with it. I promise you that.
Okay. Have to figure out how to do the motion. But if it's a question of, to be fair to the business owner, if it's a question of leaving there and you're going to take it down in 3 months, that's fine. If it's a question of leaving there, permanently, then we might have other comments. But I think, can we do a motion to approve it as a temporary sign through a date?
We don't have rules for temporary signs.
Not really, but I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Aren't there provisions in the code for temporary signs?
Not that I read.
There- yeah.
Not that I
Okay.
remember.
I don't believe there are.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe the board approve it with the condition of us being
Well, we
removed by a certain date?
don't want this sign, so we would only say for X.
It's
amount of
approved,
time.
conditioned on its removal
Okay.
by, what, May
So,
15th or
and-
something?
All right. So let me try this.
By May 1st.
Fair enough.
Okay,
And-
so
and-
we can do motion to approve the sign
Okay.
for El Verona, condition on its removal no later than May 1st.
It's not perfect, but I'm fine with it.
How about temporary
yeah.
sign? I think you should put
Don't worry. I'm sure Angel will call me on it.
The question is
If-
what goes in the
may-
record. So if I
may
get hit
I
by a
ask-
bus tomorrow, there's a
May I
record
ask
here.
the board, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
what would you like to see so that we come with something?
Um,
do that.
We really can't design the sign for
I
you. If
understand
you
that.
drive around the building, you see the signs that have been approved tend to have relief on them. Either the letters have some relief to the background.
So you're looking for depth?
Yeah, a little bit of depth and a little bit of
Okay,
relief, probably.
fair enough.
That would be my guidance too.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, fair enough.
And just what I would tell you in looking at that is, from a scale standpoint, especially over the door, it could come down a little bit in terms of overall size, probably about 15, 20%.
I actually
Yeah,
agree with
'cause
you
I think
fully.
it's a little-
It could
it's a
be
little too
narrower.
big.
It was
Yeah.
a guy in the city who was making it for the
Okay.
restaurant as a favor.
All right.
So,
So,
okay.
do I have a second?
No, second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very
we'll
much.
see you on or before May 1st. Okay. All right. That takes us to the first caravan matter, which is 383 First Neck Lane LLC.
Not a solar site.
I'm sure they're coming in.
Okay. Just- that's-
Hi, Frank Greenwald, architect, the applicant for 383 First Neck Lane.
Okay. And do you have anything you want to add into the record here before?
Well, we've done a couple of walkthroughs since our last hearing. We've had a couple of board members there. We had Zach Studenroth there last week with Alex Wallach. And I think we actually created some clarity as to what the scope of the changes that we want to. The scope of the, where is it? The scope of what the historic pieces are
Okay.
in this residence. I don't know if you've had a chance to read Zach's latest report,
We have,
it does shed some clarity.
Yeah.
And I just to sort of get us all on the same page, I thought sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Love that.
I sort of outlined, if you can see my screen, I just outlined what is my understanding of what we talked about there being the important pieces to maintain, which is, again, the front block of the house, the big 2.5-story block, the north lean-to addition that came there with the house, the front portico that we believe was added by Mr. Atterbury, and this was sort of the most important piece, was
right,
sort of finalizing what we believe is the Atterbury addition, and Zach and everyone sort of came to the same conclusion by doing a little bit more digging and investigation, which is this piece in the back that's approximately 20 by 35 feet, which sort of jives with the old Sanborn map and sort of makes sense with the foundation work that we see there. So it's this piece sort of makes perfect sense now, I think.
okay,
So the next step, I think, is for us to go back and prepare a sort of proper submission, some design work, and come back based upon these rules, let's call them, or these findings. There was some discussion about the screened porch on the south, which, although we think it was something that was originally put there, it's shown on the Sanborn maps, etc. But what's there now has been so altered that it appears, and I think Zach somewhat references that in his letter, although he states that he's not sure of the age of the brick terrace, but we do have it's in the file, we do have a building permit for the replacement of that brick terrace some 40 years ago or something. So he, and I don't want to paraphrase him, but his thinking was that this screen porch on the south side of the main house is not necessarily something that is, something that we need to maintain as it is. So we would like to create some new piece there that maybe fits in better with what the house is or was or wants to be.
Okay.
So I guess I would ask the board members if this is everyone's understanding of it, and then we'll sort of proceed from there.
Great.
Again, this is really helpful, and I thank you for everyone's patience and going through this process. It's been very helpful for everyone, I think.
well, the same back to you, because you've been very receptive in the questions that we've had in site inspection and helping sort of get here. I'm going to throw this open to the board members for comment.
No comment. Frank is graciously accepting the historian's report and is working with us and Zach on that.
Susan, Jane?
What just stood out to me was the last comment in Zach's report that the Foster House Atterbury combined the contemporary colonial revival with an authentic relic of the colonial era in a unique residential design for Southampton Village. And I do just want to reiterate, it's an iconic house. So I hope whatever you're going to do to that south side there is going to go along with it.
Okay.
I
Susan?
hope so too.
No, I thought it was interesting. Seems fine to me the way things are going, actually, amazingly.
From my perspective, I would say both Zach's report and your drawing actually meet sort of what was the instinct looking at the house. So I think we are now on the same page of what is considered historic, and then what were later renovations that we don't have as much concern about. So it feels like now we are on the same page. So we will look forward to the next iteration.
Excellent.
Okay.
Appreciate your time and all your help.
Okay. Let me see if there's any comments from the public.
And while we do that, Frank, since you showed this drawing, I'm just going to ask that you email it to our office so we can make it part of the file.
I will. I just saw Zach's report today, so, yeah.
Understood. Thanks.
I'm assuming any comments from the public, Sage? Okay. So I'm assuming you're asking for an adjournment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be back.
Okay. So motion to accept the client's request for an adjournment for 383 First Neck Lane to, do you want to go to January 8th, which is the next meeting, or the one after?
No, the one after.
Okay, so client's request to adjourn to
The
January
22nd.
22nd.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Appreciate
Much
all the work.
appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have 36 Main Street for exterior alteration to an existing building.
I knew 8:40 minutes adjourned.
It's adjourned.
I know. They gave me this. Great. Okay.
Okay. Is anyone here for 36? Anyone here? Just so the public knows, we are waiting for a historic report on that house, but we weren't sure if they were coming in to present anything or not, so they may not be coming in.
Mark, I did let them know that we were still pending that report. I don't think they put an adjournment request in writing.
Okay.
They said they were gonna get back to me. That was this afternoon. I haven't
Okay.
heard from them.
Then at chairman's request, I'm going to request that we adjourn 36 Main to without prejudice to January 8th. Is there, as we wait for the historic report, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Next up is Tina and Cream Semi at 80 Wendanch Lane.
Evening. Is everyone able to get out there?
We were.
That's nice.
No, I didn't, but I've been on the property previously.
Oh, okay.
I'm familiar with the
With
property.
permission, I assume?
Years ago.
So, this is fairly, everything's been submitted.
Okay.
And if the board has any questions, let me know. But I assume we're waiting for Zach's report. I haven't seen it. He was out there probably 3 weeks ago. Do you have it?
He has not, I don't think from Zach's perspective, he has a lot more to add to what he's already added to this.
What is he
I think with the things that are all in the report. So I think
Oh,
what
I
might
didn't
be
see his
interesting now, the 92-page report you gave us that quotes Zach all the way through it.
But tell me that, you said Zach doesn't have anything else to add to the report. I wasn't aware they had put anything in the record.
He has not put anything in the record, but
Zach
in
has it.
your 92-page document, there are a lot of references to previous work that Zach had done on the house.
Oh, okay. So, I'm just trying to understand this. He went to the property.
He did,
Because
I don't believe he went to the property.
No, he did. I let him in.
Oh, you did, okay.
And he walked around, but he doesn't have a report, or he doesn't have any intention to give a report? You referred it to him. I mean, I don't have any problem if at your request you adjourn it for a report from him. I'm just scratching my head, trying to figure out where we're going on this. You referred it to Zach for a report. He went to the property.
Right. Alex, do you have anything to add here?
I do know that he went to go visit the property. I think it's up to the board to let Zach know what level of information they feel that they might need in addition to what's been submitted.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we adjourn it to the next meeting? We'll poll the board and we'll see if there's more questions we have from Zach. In the meantime,
Right.
why don't we?
I would like a formal report from Zach, if
Okay,
possible.
why don't we, well, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, I just assumed one would be
I did,
forthcoming.
it may be on me, because I didn't give him further direction exactly what I'm looking for from his report, so it may be on me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
he may be waiting for exact direction from me, so let me own that.
No, that's fine. I just, because it's the first time it's been referred to any one of your historic consultants and they didn't come back with a report. I
Okay.
can't remember that.
Okay,
Or
then I'll
came
Right.
here and gave you their 2 cents, as it were, just verbally, so.
Okay.
is-
I think that's fair. So what, I will reach out to him. I will talk to the board members to see what they'd like to see in a report. I will get to Zach and then we'll get it in here.
Did anyone have any conversations with him? Did he indicate whether or not he was going to give a report? Or, I'm just trying to
I
figure
think
out what went on.
Alex is correct. I think he's waiting to hear from me of what we're looking for in a report.
Oh.
That's what I think. I think that's my, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's my bobble.
No one's perfect.
Okay.
It's a little bit unique because it's a designated historic structure, so we don't have a standard form for this scenario.
What did Alex say?
We don't have a standard form for this scenario.
I don't know what that means, Alex. I've never had the board refer it to the architect, the historic consultant, without receiving from the historic consultant either a written report, or he would come in here and give the board his opinion.
Okay.
So,
So let me take that on and cure it for you.
okay. And
Okay.
at your request, you're going to return it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Okay, chairman's request to adjourn 80 Wandance to January 8th.
Oh, before you do, I'm sorry, before the motion is, did the board have any questions as a result of their visits?
Do we have questions? Do you want to wait for the report?
What do you want to wait for the report? I don't want to, I'm not trying to jam you up or anything.
I'd rather wait for the.
I think they will wait for the report. Is there a second? All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
No, I can't remember which one this is, I'm sorry.
This is
80 Wandance.
81 dash.
Yeah, it's not getting else,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's the street with all those nice London plane
The
trees.
most iconic road in
Syc-
Southampton Village.
Sycamores.
All right, thank you, John. All right, next are three adjournments. So next over is carryover for non-historic. The first one is 53 Halsey Street for demolition evaluation of existing dwelling construction with two-story family residence.
And Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Knock on the door, come get me when you.
Um,
And I'm going to ask you to hold 1 second while, that's.
oh, one of my clients is John Sedaris and Richard Hansen. One of them is not here.
Okay.
I have 3 and 4. Could we put 1 where 4 is? I think because he's just about to arrive.
You mean
So-
move to
You mean
13?
second call it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
But
right,
I was
so
wondering if I could.
Let's get Jeff back then.
What?
We should get Jeff back
Okay.
then.
So if you could second, I have 1,
Jeff?
3, and 4. So if I could just.
Okay. You have
still
1,
wanna
3,
go
and
one
4?
more, So I don't want to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, okay, well, let's,
Okay.
we'll do two,
Okay.
and then.
We
and
do
then-
2 and then 3
We'll do 2 and then
4.
come back to your
3
3.
and 4 and 1. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks for
no
your
problem.
indulgence on it.
That brings us, welcome back, Jeff. That brings us to 64 Down East LLC, 495 Ox Pasture Road. Let me get my paperwork straightened out here before I mess it up.
Martin is supposed to be here soon. Can we go back?
Okay. The meeting's
going
going
too
faster
fast
than people
tonight.
think.
I'm not staying late. Here.
All right, let's see, we'll move down then.
Is someone here for 64 Pulaski? Is that you, John?
John, are you here for 64 Pulaski? Okay.
They're not here either.
I think everybody thought 81, that would take longer. All right.
So I'll have Sal sit down here. So we have, it's John Bennett and Sal Ciccarelli is here.
Okay.
In response to comments raised on the November 13th, 2023 meeting, we submitted correspondence dated December 4th with revised architectural plans and renderings. The garage door has been modified to propose a white painted door with white glazing. The lighting fixtures proposed adjacent to the garage have been shown. We also submitted photographs of homes on Pulaski Street with front-facing garages: 73 Pulaski Street, 128 Pulaski Street, 133 Pulaski Street, 154 Pulaski Street, 166 Pulaski Street, 170 Pulaski Street, 161 Pelletreau Street, it's in the area, and 153 Pelletreau Street. This includes a property at 170 Pulaski Street, which is actually still under construction, which was approved relatively recently by the board. We changed the application at the suggestion of the chairman in terms of putting some lights at the top of the garage to make it look more sympathetic with those types of forward-facing garages. We did also, the building inspector told us that there was, the parking complied. There was a car shown in the driveway, but that was for illustrative purposes only. So we want to also demolish the existing pool house and refigure the existing garage into the pool house, thus limiting the, reducing the lot coverage on the property. At the- Yes.
Aren't you rebuilding
Yeah.
the pool house?
Yeah, we're gonna rebuild it, but we're taking the garage to make it a pool house, Susan. And the effect of it, Sal will take you through it. The effect of it is to reduce the lot coverage on the
Well,
lot.
there's plenty.
So the
of-
3
There
buildings.
are there's plenty of lot coverage, go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it's in any event, I understand. So an attached garage is not uncommon in this area. There's nothing the town village law that I showed that disallows an attached garage. It's a choice. Because of age and mobility issues, we located the garage on the west side of the residence. I think candidly, any attempt to say that I can't have a attached garage here, which is a permitted structure in the village, I don't think you can tell the applicant that they can't have a attached garage. You can tell the applicant, you know, obviously weigh in on the style of it, but there's no other place to put it. It has to be front-facing. The lot is too narrow. It's a very common feature. I think any other attempt to tell the applicant that they can't have an attached garage there is you're trying to exercise site plan review authority. And we're open to any comments that you would have about the architecture of it, but I don't see how you can tell somebody they can't have an attached garage in the front of the house. You can have a lot to say about the architecture of it. Obviously, that's your purview, and that's your job, for which we all have much respect. But front-facing garage, attached, nothing prohibiting attached garage. I think you have to deal with this. You can't just tell me I can't have a detached garage there.
So I'll tell you that I think it looks terrible.
Okay, so then tell me how you would like us to improve it.
I'm not in charge of redoing your house.
Okay.
I think that it is jammed in, it is prominent, and it is convenient because then you don't have enough parking, maybe. I don't know,
No, the
but
building
if
is,
you look at the
Susan?
back- Let me
Okay,
continue.
okay, of course.
This lot is covered head to toe with a lot of building, almost no greenery, a lot of gravel, and I have many problems with it, but the first one is your garage, which, from the get-go, it just doesn't look okay.
I'm going to ask one question here. I'm going to actually ask you to take us through the changes for the public from the last presentation,
Yes.
so the public can see it, and then we'll come back to comments.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mark.
So in terms of changes,
You don't have to put the mic.
Yeah.
in terms of changes, we had a solid cedar garage in front without windows, and we have now changed it to a white door with transoms that match the house. Other than that, we are considered a 4-bedroom house, so we only need 3 parking spaces, and we've provided 4.
Mark, you wanted the public to be able to see the
Yes.
visuals there, yeah.
Yes. Sage, can you pick these up for camera? There we are. Thank you. Okay. Joyce.
Jane.
Jane.
The problem I have is that the garage is in front of the front door, like it seems to jut out farther than the porch itself.
We're in the same line as the porch is now. You can kind of see there's a faint red line on the site plan, and that's where the existing porch is.
Well, let me ask you, would there be any opportunity, if I may, and please don't kick, well, you can kick me on the table, but would there be any opportunity to recess it a bit?
I'm not gonna be able to fit the car.
Well, why don't we get all the comments?
Okay,
Then we'll-
sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Jane.
It just seems that the front of the house is no longer a porch, it's a garage, and so I understand what Susan's saying, where architecturally, it just does not jive with the neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeff.
All right, let me, so, for the benefit of the public, and Sage, can you help me here? I'm going to raise my hand, and then we'll try to share a screen, and hopefully this will work. So, share, and then Sage, you tell me. Okay, so we're gonna try to do this. Okay, so I appreciate what John was saying. However, and while there may be a few attached garages on that street, the locations that he mentioned are considerably distant from this particular house. And the board, in addition to it not fitting in and being disharmonious to the relevant streetscape. The board has been consistent in its application, if you will, of denying applications or otherwise suggesting that the applicants move towards detached garages. There have been a few exceptions, but the board has been rather consistent. And so it's not that the board is denying the applicants, we're not taking away permission, we're simply using our judgment, which we have by the code, to say that a attached garage at that locus is disharmonious. And if we look at the actual neighboring properties, and these are properties going from, on the even side of the house, from 80 to 44, and then across the street from 39 to 79, representing about 8 houses on either side. I can do this quickly. I think this, and the numbers might not be I think that's 80, where my arrow is. That's the one west of that, then the one west of that. And if you can see in the back, there are detached garages. Here's 2 houses down to the east, the next one to the east, and then, hold on a second, I'm too fast. Forgive me here. Okay. Well, this is the house in question, okay, and it currently has a detached garage. The pictures may be this one. Oh, this house is the one immediately to the west, I believe. Oh, that's right. That would make sense. And this one is immediately to the west. This one is across the street. This one is to the east of that, and that one to the east of that. But again, we're looking at 8 houses on either side of the street, and all of them have detached garages to the rear. Okay, so in my view, in my judgment, an attached garage, especially one that takes away from what is otherwise a beautiful porch, is not harmonious.
Susan, anything else?
Well, they have a detached garage, let's not forget.
Right, they have a detached.
That's all I
I think what makes it line up is that the fact that it's not lining up with the porch, it's still way in front of the porch. I just looked at the site map. It's still way in front of the porch, but it's lining up with the other side of the house. It's still the most prominent piece of the front of the house.
It's squaring off the porch, but it's not more towards the front yard than the porch is.
Well, the roof is coming out
Actually,
farther than the front porch.
Not by much, but according to your floor plan, it's far from. My one comment would be we've gone from a place that the most prominent feature of your house is the garage door.
That's right.
And partially because the garage door is now as proud of the house as the windows on the other side. There's nothing recessed about it. And I think it takes away from the overall harmony, and you've even had to sort of jack a little with the roof line to pull it that far forward in such a way that it looks like it's just sort of stuck on the front of the house, and I don't think it architecturally blends into the house as much. And I think what you're hearing is on that street and with this design and with this garage, it just doesn't feel harmonious not only to the house but also to the neighborhood.
Okay, so why don't you adjourn it? We'll take another crack at it.
Okay?
Could I just say, to me, it looks like what we're dealing with now is a garage in search of a house, not a house in search of a garage. It really is,
I hear that.
it's off. I'm sorry.
No, I actually, that was pretty accurate. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
it. Check it out.
Okay, so,
We'll take another crack at it.
okay, do we have any comments from the public? Sorry, sir? Okay.
So,
Are they coming in? Okay. Okay, so motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 64 Pulaski Street to January the 8th. Does that work for you, John?
That's fine.
Okay, January 8th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so So my question is, are you here for 53 Halsey now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to recall 53 Halsey Street, and then we'll head ourselves back down the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, and you're recusing.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
A couple of hot chocolate.
We're not
Okay.
losing all of you, are we?
No, I don't. I have to wear black.
There's a chair issue back here. Okay,
My name is John Bennett and Reed, 212 Windmill Lane, and John Sedaris and Richard Hansen, who are the property owners, are with me, as are Jim McChesney. Always a pleasure to work with Jim. So the applicants, was relatively recently retained. I didn't appear at the prior meetings, which primarily focused on the construction and style of the house that was proposed. But as part of it is an application to demolish the existing single-family residence. Zach looked at it, stated the residence was constructed circa 1920, and identified only one of the potential criteria for landmarking when evaluating this property, the fact this home has some distinguishing characteristics, of a type, period, construction, or style. We disagree. The home was constructed in 1920 as a bungalow style and has not and is a fairly common style, but it certainly isn't some pantheon of some thing that forms the sense of place of the neighborhood. We did submit. Well, I'll get to that. In response to Zach's analysis, we did submit the correspondence of Gary Lawrence, who was an architect and co-author of Houses of the Hamptons, 1880 to 1930. And Mr. Lawrence noted, it's a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it in because I think it's very helpful. Upon a recent visit to the site to view the existing residence from the exterior and the interior, and I know it's primarily exterior is what you're looking at, although you never know, that may change. I was in an architectural and what do you call it, a bookstore in Charleston, and there was a bumper sticker that they were giving out that said, "Gut fish, not houses." So I thought that was interesting. But in any event, upon receipt, Gary took a look at the house. He said, in my opinion, that the structure has no architectural or historic value. A modest cottage built circa 1920s by an unknown architect builder. The structure embodies no special architectural details or uniqueness. The front porch columns are simple square posts and nothing beyond basic trim work of any kind in the building. The interior layout is small and no signs of deferred maintenance. I'll leave that. I just note it, but I understand that's not what you're looking at right now, the interior aspect. In homes of this period, there are often some details that are worth salvaging, but none are present here except some plumbing fixtures. In my studies over the years concerning residences / auxiliary buildings from a period of 1870 to 1930, and co-author of the book Houses of the Hamptons, and sensitive to preserving older buildings, my determination that the existing residence at 53 Halsey Street, if demolished, would not affect the character of the street, neighborhood, and the house itself has no intrinsic value which would suggest preservation. We also have letters of support and request of the demolition from property owners at 43 Halsey, 60 Halsey, 36 Halsey, and 471 Hill Street. That's essentially to the southeast and across the street and to the north. To the west is a vacant parcel. We did also submit an analysis of homes that have been demolished in the surrounding area. Includes the addresses, the demolition approvals received, as well as photographs of the existing residences. 13 properties on Halsey have received approval to be demolished. I'm very familiar with Halsey Street. My dad grew up on Halsey Street in the 20s and 30s. I often visited my grandparents there. A lot of the houses there are the same circa as this house, but 13 on this board has been allowed to be demolished. Zach points out that the brick chimney has been preserved. It is a central chimney, small, with no distinguishing quality. Zach did recognize that the windows and sashes had been replaced. Oftentimes those fenestrations are some of the interesting stuff, but they've been replaced. So again, as we all know, the age of a home is not determinative of whether a structure warrants preservation. There's nothing distinguishable about this house. It's not located in the historic district, which makes it a tough call for any attempt to landmark this house. The surrounding homes have been largely replaced with more modern construction. I think the construction, when I say modern, not in style. A lot of it is sympathetic to the area, as is Mr. McChesney's the house that he's drawn, and he was charged as such by the clients, who have gone to a great deal to preserve some of the character of the house next door. However, this is not a lot or house size that allows this. It's not a recognizable home that defines the character of the street. Candidly, without going into it further, there are certain elements of concern in the record and the chronology of certain actions that I find a little bit troublesome. There have been 13 homes of the same vintage on this street for which demolition approval has been obtained, not in the historic district, not unique, overwhelming support for the demolition of the home, and I would submit there's no basis to landmark this particular home. If the board has any questions, I'd love to entertain them.
Board members.
I think it's sad that that many houses have been demolished, but I guess this,
Well, you do have that big body of law that says you can't treat
it's
people in
not
a
an
desperate way,
historic
you know.
district,
I mean,
I
and
get
I know, I'm a lawyer, so I put forward the law.
I understand that,
Yeah,
but you have your job and I have mine.
yeah, no, I see. But they don't always come in conflict.
I would actually, I think equally disturbing is the house they want to build looks like all the houses that were built to replace the ones that got knocked down. No? That it homogenizes, I mean, it takes away from the character of the village, but since it's not landmarked legally, I guess, gotta let it go. But I would wish that the house that was gonna be built was not just another 4 square-ish, not even legitimately so, house.
Well,
There would be some idea that,
We have a,
You didn't approve the house yet. You're
no,
still-
but
yeah.
I'm saying
Okay, well, that's helpful. That's
that
massively
it's
helpful.
unfortunate if you drive down the street, given the number of demolitions, that it becomes like suburban, which is sad. I'm not sure there's much, you know, I can say no houses, but I just think there should be some consideration of what was taken down and what it looked like.
Okay, so that's
that?
actually extremely helpful, because you guys haven't approved the house yet.
Right, well, that's
Jen,
right.
pull your mic forward for me.
It is very sad, and all these houses that were demolished, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but it was done, and we cannot landmark this house, so we have really very little choice. I think the saddest part is that all the new houses that are being built are for summer residents for the majority, and not for the year-round people who live here. So that's just my 2 cents.
I live on the street that I
Okay.
grew up on, and I'm the only non
You're the
summer
only one
resident.
there?
Excuse me, I don't live in the house I grew up on, but I live in the street that I grew up on. But it is what it is.
It
I'm
is what
sorry,
it is,
I agree.
I think here was, here's my thought. I also think it's sad. I think in this particular case, the applicant has 2 houses next door. And the one house that they're keeping and renovating into something special preserves the character of the neighborhood. This house, I'll be honest, I'm very sad that it's going to go. I don't actually believe it would stand up to landmark criteria, which is based on some conversations that I've had with Zach and some other conversations. Therefore, I'm sort of aligned with my friends up here that I don't think we have a choice but to allow for the demolition, because it doesn't feel that it meets the criteria for landmarking on this street.
But you still have the house before you, so
I
it's
understand that,
very.
but I'm
No,
still
no, I'm
sa-
saying, I'm sorry.
still sad this one's going down, just because the quirkiness, the size, the scale, and frankly the style of the houses that we're taking down have character and have history, and they're interesting, and the houses that are going up are turning into these big square flat boxes. But that's a comment for what's coming. But I do think, when you're talking to the Board of Historic Preservation, one of our jobs is to maintain the history that we have as a village. And part of maintaining that history is a desire to maintain the scale, the streetscapes, the lack of homogeneity, the original nature that we go house by house, so we don't start ending with these monotonous neighborhoods where houses all look alike. So when we see these charming houses that would have the ability and certainly the land to expand and do something different with, that would be more interesting in the location, we just get sad.
For whatever it's worth, the house that was my grandparents' house that my dad and uncles and aunts grew up in was taken down. Actually, there was a fire there. But the house that the architect drew was like a real homage to the old house. So maybe that's the sort of stuff you're looking for.
Yes, we'll get to that. So I think
Okay.
my honest opinion is I'm very sad. I don't think, because we're not in Historic Street, I don't think we can actually agree to landmark it. I don't think it's going to stand up to the criteria.
Okay.
So you need a motion?
That would be great.
Okay. So motion to not seek landmark status for, let me get the address right here,
53.
for 53 Halsey Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Do you want to talk about the house?
now you want to
No.
move on to the house.
No.
Now let's move on to the house if you want to. They're going to come up and represent.
I'm
And with
gonna-
that lead in, to what you think
Yeah.
about, do you want the opportunity to take a second swing before you talk about it, or do you want
what do you
comments on
think,
this one?
guys? That's not a bad idea. You want to kick it over, or do you want to talk about this house? That's a nice entree to adjourning and kicking it over, but
Do what?
I said that, I thought that was a nice entree to adjourning and kicking it over, but we'll see.
Okay.
I think John liked it. John's not here. John liked this design.
Okay. If you could get the microphone, introduce yourself for the record. Please.
Good evening, I'm James McChesney, I'm the architect.
If it's easier, you can sit down. We can see you.
Um,
It's easier to speak into the mic that way.
It is. I'm the architect for this job, and it is a big house, and I did design it specifically to fit in the neighborhood and to not look like the other large houses on the street. There's a house that my clients were, very fond of on Meeting House, and we tried to use elements from that to try to make it look like a four-square house. I think that the idea was to make the facade as simple as possible, so it's not like a lot of new houses, and that there are a lot of different window treatments and different roof lines. I wanted the front of the house to be as simple as possible, and to use the idea of a four-square house that had been added onto, similar to what we're doing next door, which is a house that has a big addition to it. I think that there are plenty of examples of four-square houses with additions to the back, and that the front of the house maintains the quality and the original intent of a four-square house.
Board members?
I've been on the committee for about a year now, and I see house after house coming in front of us that's gray. And I'm really sad to see so many of the natural cedar shake homes go away, because I think that's one of the most beautiful characteristics, is that they age beautifully. And for a while, we were also seeing a lot of houses with the black trim windows, and now we're saying, please no more. So I'm just saying, please no more gray houses.
Well, this is a cedar, it's cedar shingle.
It is a natural cedar shake?
Yeah, with
Because
white.
the rendering, it looks very gray.
Yeah. No, it's a cedar shingle roof, cedar shingle siding, white windows, white trim, traditional columns, traditional railing.
Okay. Maybe next time you come in, bring in a sample.
It's just gonna gray down.
I mean,
Well, if it grays naturally, that's fine, but we've seen so
No,
many
I-
houses that are starting out gray. They're not starting out with a natural
I
cedar
mean,
shake.
the intent is to just have it as a cedar shingle, and the rendering was trying to show it as faded out after time. But the intent is both the roof and the walls will be cedar shingle, not
So-
stained. And
I
the
don't,
only-
to me, a 4-square house, the sort of beauty of that is that it's actually square, and these houses have extensions. So for me, then you've canceled out the architectural detail that might have been hopeful for the street.
If you look at the floor plan, it really is based on
But it's
a
not
square.
let's be
It's not
clear, it's
square.
not a 4-square house. It has,
No,
it
but
has a
it's an
different window rhythm
extended-
across the front than a 4-square. It's not square. And it's wider, it's taller, and it doesn't carry the original rhythm of what would be considered a 4-square house in Southampton.
And you are demolishing a house that sits out, if you look at that picture, proudly, even if it is a little house, and has clearance on the sides of a lawn, and this house, no, the people aren't just gonna look at the front of it and say, oh, that could have been a 4-square house. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's a terrible house, but it is not a 4-square house. And there seems to be a lot of this going around,
I think
which
at the
is
last meeting we
disappointing
were
to
in.
me. What?
I think at the last meeting, we left it that it was a 4-square inspired house, and maybe that's
Okay,
what it is.
well, to me,
Not a 4-square.
Which actually makes it
I'm
worse
not-
for me because
I'm
I'm
not-
borrowing
yes.
history.
to me, that's disappointing. But let's see what happens. That's all I have to say about it, really, at this point.
Somewhere, and I'm struggling to find it, you sent us a lovely file of all the houses on the street.
Really? Well, I'm looking at
There's
my
several
thing.
houses that had been,
I
and
believe
it actually
it-
proved my point.
Here.
What I find difficult about this house on that street is that it's a big old monolith square. When I look at your drawing, it's clear that we built exactly as much house as humanly possible by finding the plane and drawing to it. And then I've got a big flat front facade, and I've got a railing. And in that house, where we have gentle houses, the house that you're taking down slopes down the street and goes gently to the street. If you look 2 doors down, there were smaller houses. The houses had more variations to them. The front doors were friendlier, and they weren't bunker-like to the street. And I think you see that as you go through all the drawings of the other houses. This one, to me, is too flat. It's not a 4-square. I feel like you've borrowed history here. It's an homage to a 4-square, but it's not. It's too wide. The window rhythm would be wrong to be a 4-square if that's what you're going for. And then the heavy porch and the heavy front curtain of the house makes it a bunker to the street. And I don't think it's architecturally harmonious with the other houses that are on the street in terms of its detailing.
I think we should take a look at it based on all those comments. I
Okay.
think that's what we should do. I appreciate the board's.
And is that a functional terrace, or is that just a decorative terrace? in front?
Decorative.
Decorative.
All right, do I have any public comment? Okay. You'd like to adjourn?
That's a good.
Okay.
If you can. What time-
So,
what do
right.
you think, Jim?
I'm not sure.
Do you want- Well,
You want us
was
to
the
vote?
8th is the next
can
one, you might
vote.
need some more time.
So go to
We have to
the,
decide that tonight.
I keep losing all these pictures. But what I'd like you to do is go down and
The
look
22nd.
to the 22nd. What I'd like you to do is
When
go
would
down and
those
look at,
drawings have to be
Yeah.
in by?
for the 22nd. Alex, do you have the date in front of you? It's on here. It's on your agenda. Yeah, it's at the bottom of the agenda.
Because of the holiday.
Yeah, but-
The 16th.
It's the 16th
16th of January.
of January.
Is that, what do you think? Well,
That's in
put
here.
it, leave it on there if we need more time, we'll ask you for it.
So do you want to go the 8th or do you want me to go the 8th or the
Why don't we do the
22nd?
8th and then we'll adjourn
You
if we
wanna go
don't.
to the 8th? Okay, or the
But
next-
it,
Your materials
If
will
we-
be due,
if we
if you
go
go
to
to the
the-
8th, your materials are due on the 2nd of January.
Yeah,
oh, that's what, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were saying the
Second
16th.
Okay.
They were due.
Motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 53 Halsey Street to January 22nd.
Thanks.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Somebody could, want
Get
to call
Jeff.
Jeff back? Tell him to put his tea down and So that brings us up to 495 Ox Pasture. Wait for my returning champion.
All right, thanks. Okay, so what are we up to now?
495 Ox Pasture.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Is that, I lost my agenda.
Okay.
Go back to
Is this yours?
Those are-
I have two, you want mine?
those are-
Who's-
Nope.
What's that?
I can just put mine here. You're at,
I know, but
495.
we went
I think that's
backwards,
mine.
right?
This is old. Okay.
Yes. Do you want mine, Susan?
No, thanks.
I'll share.
No, I hit all.
I
of it.
left
I'll find it
495 on my kitchen table.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
Counter, whatever, so I'm just gonna like click on it, Jen.
Yeah, sure.
All right, if you would introduce yourselves.
Yes, it's Nick Martin from Martin Architects and Tim Keller from Martin Architects,
Okay.
representing the client.
Okay.
So I could read the letter, perhaps that's maybe the best. In response to the board's specific concerns about the glazing to facade ratio, Martin Architects is seeking to maintain the existing window and doors, the central gable hip roof volume, which houses the living room space. Additionally, MA is proposing to preserve the existing window and door at the smaller low roof area. In addition to the glazing reduction, Martin Architects has proposed a parapet wall with a handrail to screen the existing skylight, and the detail includes a wooden railing and wire mesh screening that is more traditional in detail and language than the standing seam metal roof that was previously approved. Martin Architects is also proposing a revised, reduced awning on the proposed pool house and other small, additionally traditional details to improve the look of the south and north elevations.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is turn the plans, either put them out electronically or show them to us, and then take the public
Go ahead.
through the current plan and the changes. Because last time you guys brought us changes, but you weren't referring to the house that had been approved,
Mm-hmm.
which you've done this time, which I thank you for.
Don't join us. Excuse me. Okay. And then you go to the file. Yeah, you're going to go to your files. Bring the files up. Yes, find your files, and then they can see them from the screen. Excuse us for our
That's good.
delay. Okay, now go back to Zoom. Go back to Zoom. And can we share a screen, please?
Sure. Sage, have you got it?
Okay, there we go. And then go back to the files.
So this is a
Okay.
renovation?
You sharing? Here we go.
This is renovations. You remember, probably got approved, and now they've come back again.
If we may start with the pool house.
Why don't you start actually with the south elevation?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Let's start with the,
Important.
yeah.
Okay, so what we've done is shown the previously approved as
Thank
well as the proposed, and then in another file we've shown images of the existing house. Let's start at A 2.4, shall we, on the south? Are we good? Okay, again, sorry for the delay. So on the bottom there, the approved south elevation, what we've done is on the top drawing, you can see what look like dimension strings, but within each of those dimension strings denotes the modifications or no change. So if we can start to the left, which would be the east, there's no change to the left portion. The next portion, which is the next gable, we've lowered the proposed gable vent and added new stone coping over the lintel of the unit so that it was more in keeping with the approved plaster finish. The next element, which is the front center of the house, we've raised the window, proposed handrail historic details, proposed cedar columns with a stone pedestal, and we've kept the glazing the same on those two. The next gable was...
Which gable are you? Are you at the center?
Yeah, we're at the center at this point.
And those windows, the windows on your south elevation, not in fact taller than they are on the south elevation that was approved?
No, they're the same. The difference is that we've added a detail there that allows for the window that was hidden below the parapet to now be exposed.
Looks like there's 6 though rather than 5.
Yeah, exactly. It was the others were hiding below the parapet initially. It was a parapet wall over the entry, and now we have also added a detail of railing there, which is I think a nice historic touch.
Sure. I mean, I don't mean to question, but on the south elevation that I see at the bottom of the 2 4-pane windows at the center, and aren't I seeing below that?
Well,
the cap?
The square footage is the same, but we've reduced. If you look at the actual configuration, the 2 central windows are thinner, and the 2 end windows are now thinner, and they're now slightly taller. And then again, part of it was hiding behind that parapet. So we're trying to reduce scale by adding additional muntins and sash, so that it appears more in balance. The next gable is similar to the one on the left.
Did you say that the gable vent? I don't see a gable vent in the.
Yeah, if you look in the approved there, I can maybe I can annotate.
I don't see one.
There are those 2 rectangular elements that are near the ridge of the left and right flanking gables. See if I can annotate.
On the proposed, but not on the approved.
Yeah,
I don't see them on the approved.
the approved there weren't any, and then we've added them to the
So that's an addition.
proposed.
Okay.
Right. Again, we're just trying to break up the elevation
okay.
and add some detail. There's no change to the right portion of that next portion of the building, and the small connector between the 2 gables, we've added a traditional gabled roof there rather than a flat roof to try to, again, create some more detail. And then in the final right side, which is the furthest to the right gable, we've proposed bay glazing, which is 12 square feet more, again, to try to connect to the other elements. Proposed wood railing with historic details, as we have in the other elements, and we've removed the hip roof.
Is that now a porch?
It's not an active porch. We're trying to add some details, and so that it's similar to the one over the entry gable.
Okay, so that window is a window. It's not a door.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And in the flat top roof that you changed to gable, that's now a a metal roof?
It appears that way. I don't remember making. Oh yes, it's because the pitch is low. We wanted to reduce the scale of it so it didn't compete with the other two gables. But yes, it's a standing seam roof, and it's, I believe, only 4 feet high. So I'm not sure it would be visible from a person standing.
And then on the gable at the far right,
Yep.
which I guess would be north, you brought the roof line all the way to the front because there was a setback on the.
That's
further
right. There was a small setback, and we thought it might be a bit more honest to have a simple gable with a more simple but taller set of windows with the overall concept here is to keep the sashes smaller, and again to add that historic, traditional a detail at the rail area.
Okay.
Then on the north elevation, if we start again from the left gable, we've replaced the glass rail. Again, we're trying to go with traditional details. Replace glass rail with wood handrail and historic details. Then again, the connector is just the same as the one previously, so we changed the flat to the gable. And we've shingled the second floor to try to keep it more in keeping with the rest of the architecture. Before it was board and batten. And then we have proposed French doors, glazing, and again, those are, there isn't actually is there a porch there, Tim? Or is that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's an existing porch that we're just keeping. And then to the right of that, we've removed the chimney. We thought it was a bit busy. And we proposed windows with the glazing that's in keeping with the windows to the left. That's in total of 4 square feet more. And then below that, we've kept the existing windows and doors as the existing. You can see an image underneath this elevation that shows those. The main gable, we've kept the existing windows and doors. And a large part of this is because the budget and over the time frame has added up in such a way that we're trying to reduce costs. And so rather than reframing the whole gable, we're keeping existing. And there's no change until we get to the next gable. And then the last gable there, we've added the proposed gable vent, and we've reduced the square footage of the glazing and the door portion.
Okay. On the where it says remove chimney, I guess it's basically the fourth series of elements over. The removed chimney, proposed window glazing. On the ground floor, you've added a door and an extra window, and you've gone from 2 windows to 3 facing the back there. So you've actually increased your glazing there.
Yeah, so
significantly.
The first floor is existing. Those are all existing units that we're keeping. And the second floor there, to try to create a better dialogue with the rest of the rhythm of the elevation, rather than to what we find now as this spacing just seemed didactic. So we've added 3 units that we're repeating on the connector there. And it's a total of only 4 square feet more there.
Okay.
Shall I continue to the pool
Please.
house?
Yep. Nope.
So the
Nope.
pool house.
You got an east and a west elevation to go.
Okay.
You got a 2.6.
Yeah, very few changes there, but let's go over it. If you look at the approved east elevation there, we found it needing some additional work in terms of detailing and trying to find a more pleasing sense of elements. So we've reviewed the windows and, as you can see, modified them. And it's, I believe, the same square footage overall. And then we've added detail to the garage doors. So rather than just a simple cedar-clad set of garage doors, it's a carriage house garage door with a simple trellis over it. The idea is to let wisteria grow over that. And again, we've added some lintels over the windows, and we have some samples here to show you of how those look. And then if we go to the west elevation, we have, again, modified the windows to I believe, look more in keeping with the rest of the house and a bit longer and thinner, and not quite as stocky as the ones in the approved. And there's a new ridge skylight that's hidden by the parapet, so I don't think that would be visible to the public, and you can see that in the renderings that we're showing in the next page.
I'm just gonna ask, on your proposed west elevation, I think it's just a product of your rendering. Some of the windows are they all 6 panes? Because some of them, the panes have fallen out.
Oh, is that
So
right?
some of them just look like clear windows, and some of them look like 6 panes. They're all 6 panes. That's just a product of the,
Yeah.
of the
That
reducing the
looks like we
renovation.
might need a little work on that. Apologize.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
So if we can go to 2.8, you'll see go slower, I think. I think it's the other way because it's deeper in the. Just while we're on this page, this is the existing house as is, and you can see that it's
Yeah, we went through that for months.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Does the board have A2.8 in its packets?
And
As-
what?
A2.8, which shows the renderings of the
We do.
house?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, I have that as well, but for the public, perhaps I could show it to the screen.
If you
that's
just, if you lay it down and aim it toward
Okay.
us.
All right.
You have to aim it toward us.
Okay.
And then he can pick it up, and then Sage can pick it up on the table.
on the table.
There's a camera up here.
Oh, I see, I
Yeah.
see.
He'll pick
Very
it up.
good.
Sage, if you could pick up that rendering, that'd be great. Thank you.
I apologize for that.
No worries.
So, the general concept is muted materials, natural cedar, Tuscan hand-applied plaster, very limited stone, and again, trying to reduce the overall scale and elongate it to match the geometry and form of the general application. Why don't we jump to these images? Let's go back to sharing.
Well, you found it, because that's 2A.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that was the camera.
The
Oh,
camera
I
put
see.
it
That's
on.
the camera, okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I think we should connect to the Wi-Fi.
If you look at page, you can see this. Go to
No, it's
2.5.
connected to this.
This is-
We have some images of neighboring contexts.
I don't think we need to go through it. We spent
Okay.
so much time with this house.
Okay.
Now why don't we go to your pool house?
All right, let's do that. So the existing pool house, we've reduced the scale of it quite a bit. This is the images of the existing pool house. We've lopped off 500 square feet, 496 or something of that nature, to reduce the scale of it. And let's go to the proposed. We have used a vernacular that is in the approved set of drawings for the pool house, and added some trellis to try to create some shade. The trellis is 436 square feet, which is 0.004% of the site. So we've reduced it from our last application. I think there was a comment from the board, so we've taken quite a bit off of the original submission. And again, simple elements, simple materials, and we've reduced the height as well as the scale of the existing pool house.
Okay.
Do you want to show the samples? Tim is going to present some samples.
This is the siding.
This is the approved siding. These are
Lintel material. The sill material for the stucco windows. This is the color of the windows. And this is the color of the stucco.
it's a plaster
And
finish.
those, if I go back into the record and look what was the approved house, are still the same, right?
Yes, those are all the same except the stone lintel has, we believe, improved the quality of the overall.
Okay. Board members. What? Jeff?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, thanks. Generally, I think the improvements are just that, improvements. And I think with the exception of the north elevation, I think they do mitigate or lessen the scaling in some issues, and they do make it a bit more traditional. The only issue I had with the north elevation is the amount of glass. And here's the, I'm not sure if it's a conundrum, but ironically, you're keeping the glass that's there, the fenestration that's there, in an attempt to save money. And while I appreciate your frugality, the end result is that now you have what appears to me to be an excessive amount of fenestration on the back side. And if I look at the original pictures, because there are fewer windows to the right facing and to some extent to the left facing of those three arched Palladium windows and French doors, I think there's less fenestration or less in the existing building. So in any event, I think the attempt to save money and keep it results in an excessive amount of windows in the rear. And in terms of the pool house, maybe it's a matter of taste. It's towards the rear of the property, but again, the not portico, the trellis work seems disproportionately large against the actual pool house.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. But we'll just hear
sorry.
the other folks.
Okay.
The proposed south elevation, you're adding stone of some sort under the columns? And do you have a sample of that? Because it looks dark here in the
It's a Pennsylvania dry stack stone. We can provide you some samples. It doesn't look like we have them here.
What color is it?
It's a light gray with a warm tone to it. Can you pull it up from the website?
I actually prefer it without it just seems like you have so much going on. You're
Mhm.
just adding one more element that I don't think is necessary. I think it's kind of taking away, and I also think you need to look at the windows on the side of the door, because I think it looks much neater with the windows with the approved south elevation as opposed to what you're proposing. I agree. You know, the porch, it's just more welcoming looking with the porch being more open, and then all of a sudden it seems like you're closing the porch in a little bit.
And I also agree, I think that the portion that you were hoping to save has very little to do with the rest of what you presented, and has excessive glass. But I find that to be, I can't make sense of it with the rest of the house that we've presented. And so the approved north elevation,
The approved north elevation is definitely much better than what is now proposed because there's so much more glass, and I
it's so irregular.
don't think the
those
palladium
curved-
windows
yeah,
go at
fit
all.
with anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
with the design.
it's already chopped up in a way, and I realize part of that was the intention, but I'm having a very difficult time with it. But certainly the original glass, which actually in the existing is pretty bad, but it has more dignity than I believe it has here. It just feels completely, to me, out of place.
And you're still changing the roof line? The windows are remaining, but the roof line looks like it's changing according to the existing north elevation. It doesn't look like there's a,
You took the chimney out.
The peak looks very,
Well, that's just probably good.
it may just be the picture and not the rendering, but this looks very different here.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying right there, yeah?
Yeah, right, because above the existing house there, the roof line is more, looks like it's a hip
And you're
that comes off of that,
right, and you're throwing a vent above it. I don't think there's room for a vent now,
That looks like a hip now as part of a gable.
right? You're putting a vent over it in the proposed north elevation. You're putting a vent over those palladium windows. It doesn't look like there's room for that in the existing, unless you change the roof line.
No, there's, I think it may be just, so
You are
the
changing
roof line, yeah, do you want to go to the existing drawings?
Well, I'm looking
Show
at
them.
the little insert here, right here,
Well, you're
this.
changing the roof line.
Yeah, that's a photograph. So that's the issue, is that in photographs, obviously, everything's foreshortened, and that's
Right,
reality.
it just doesn't look like in the
Yep.
proposed, you're putting a vent over those palladium windows. It doesn't look like there's room for that.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
you're pulling the ridge, what you're doing is you're pulling the ridge line of the roof forward to the front of the gable.
That's right.
And gabling it up.
We're
but-
creating a gable,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
this is
Yeah.
entirely different. In fact, it looks Georgian almost, the existing. So we were trying to make a traditional gable out of it.
Just seems to being, I don't know how to put this, with penny wise and pound foolish on that elevation. I mean, if the attempt is to save money architecturally, you've sacrificed architecture for the sake of that. But that's your choice.
Well, it's been a long road, as you know, for this file, and the originally we were doing a new house,
Right.
and then I think we were a number of applications, and then that reduced her potential amount, and then so now we're doing an addition renovation, and then again we're standing in water, so we're trying to find a way to bridge the gap of the
Yeah,
financial issues.
I hear that,
I understand what the attempt is.
But the choice of keeping all that glass, the original, like front.
Would it be applicable if we could say remove the Palladian portion and reduce some of the glass at the top,
Well, that might
and just
help.
add a
Well,
add a
let's
header?
get everybody's comments. Jeff?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think I get
Okay,
it.
then-
Yeah, and I
then
just
me.
want to agree about the pool house. Still seems like it's got flying buttresses and it's just going to take off. So I still think it looks very
Well, it's
out of proportion.
it's a very small pool house at 400 and
Right, and I'm saying
60
the
square feet.
trellises just seem to overpower the pool house. I'm just saying it still looks very out of proportion to me.
well, it's what's the height, Tim, to the bottom of the trellis?
I don't think it's the height, I think
length.
it's the length. Yeah.
But remember, we're trying to, with everyone's conditions of trying to avoid the sun, we have a tennis court and we have a pool area from which to try to shade. So we've tried to create something that combines the two activities in a way that people can get from one to the other without being blasted by the sun. And so
Where is
It's-
the tennis court in relation to the pool?
Right now,
the
I think right now you can get.
it's behind the pool house. Go to 001
I
if you
see,
could.
I think this is,
Right.
Oh,
I assume
okay,
that's the
okay.
tennis court.
Okay.
Because right now, it looks like there's trees behind the pool house. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like there's room for a tennis court.
If you look at the, okay, let me,
You can see there.
okay, some questions. Get back to. Okay, so on the proposed south elevation, you've changed the columns and suddenly they're sitting on stone. Because
We-
before they were not.
We'd be willing to go back to,
Okay.
to the
Because
shingle.
I don't know that, suddenly introducing that element there is.
Yeah, that's fine with us.
Yeah.
We'll change that back.
I find a little jarring. The ridge vents, I actually think pull the house down a little bit, which brings it, calms it down, brings it a little bit closer to the street. So from that elevation, the only other thing I would notice is that the side lights on your front door got bigger. There seems to be overall things get bigger. Houses getting smaller, things getting
They-
bigger. Because
they-
you had 5 panes before, now you have 6, and before you were about 1.5 feet off, and now you're to the about
They're-
6 inches.
They're thinner and taller,
Okay.
but there's actually the same or less square footage of glass, but
They're
the-
thinner and taller.
We're trying to play with the Georgian rule
Okay.
of glazing in general.
Okay. So my one comment there is I think introducing the stonework there.
Mhm.
When we get to this north elevation, the huge blading windows, frankly, don't work with your design. I know that they're there,
Mhm.
but when you guys looked at it, you must have. This couldn't have been your first wish either. I know that you're trying to value engineer this a little bit, but when I look across the very linear, very square nature of this, and suddenly I have these huge windows, I think they're architecturally disharmonious for the house, number one. And number two, the bigger thing we've been worrying about is the amount of light out the back of this house, especially where some of the neighbors' concerns were. And so we've gone from where we really brought the light down, we made the doors smaller, we brought the windows glazing down through all those months that we worked with you, and suddenly, not only all the windows are back, they're about 100% more glazing in that area. So that's something I think I would have a difficulty approving, especially since you've also added a door, 3 windows, and 3 windows, where there were 4 windows to the left of that. So, that doesn't bother me so much, but the combination of the two and the amount of light coming off the back of the house has increased by about 100% in those 2 bays.
If we could go back to the site plan, I appreciate your comments, which you can see on your screen there, in terms of the potential of any neighbor
Yeah.
seeing it any which way. We have 325 feet
I understand.
to the pool house, and they can't see the north.
I understand.
Then the next neighbor to the north of that has not only 35 to 85 to 100 feet of landscaping, and then on our side, we have another 150 feet, and they're 215 feet away.
I think one thing this board's been very consistent is the amount of glazing across the back and the amount of light that comes across the back of houses. We spent months and months getting to the point where we are for the north elevation to
Mhm.
have, and I realize those windows exist. They are architecturally disharmonious with the house, and I think you're hearing from every board member up here that no one's going to approve them.
If I may ask,
and then I'm not done yet, actually. So there's that. Talk to me about this ridge skylight, because my only concern is light. I know I may not see it from the front. Well, what about to the neighbors to the side? Is a large amount of light going to come through that's going to create a light box in the sky to a neighbor?
No, I don't think so. There's no direct uplighting in the house, and it's some 28 feet to 30 feet high at that point. So I don't think there'll be light coming out of that skylight at night. It's the house. If you look at the rendering again, let's look at that page. I'll put it on the table for the camera. As you can see, the parapet hides that skylight, and there'll be significant plantings as well, blocking not only from the neighbors but from people within the house area. So I don't believe it'll be seen whatsoever.
Okay. I actually think the garage door change is an improvement. So it seems to me the biggest issue, for me, the pool house, I get what you're trying to do. I think the length and the size, I mean, the idea that someone's going to wander around the entire backyard without ever being in the sun is interesting, but they don't really bother me so much just because you are trying to accomplish 2 things that I think when I look at it with the furniture plan, it makes a little bit more sense, but the length of those do look a little odd, but that's not my primary concern is those huge existing windows that or across the back of the house, that's where I think you have a problem.
Thank you. May I ask, I've not been in this position before where we've been asked to keep an existing piece that's on a house already and then been presenting to a board for their approval of the existing. I'm not sure the precedent there. Would we be able to, say, take off the top Palladian and reduce the square footage, say, by, you know, whatever percentage we can?
Well, I
so
think
that
what
we
you're up
could-
against is you're no longer showing the existing house to me. You came to us, we went through 5 months to approve a new house.
Mhm.
So you're now working off the approved house to a new version of an approved house. So that's where I'm coming from on this. And I think this is, and you made a change to the house that you brought in to make it what looked like and approved by the board is architecturally consistent with the house. And now you've sort of gone backwards. But since this is a new application, not an adjournment of that, another application, I'm now comparing what you're asking for off of what was approved. So I think the one thing you're hearing that's going to be difficult is those Palladian windows across the back. And I mean, you've heard it from all board members very consistently.
I'm agreeing to the Palladian. I'm just wondering if I reduce them and remove the Palladian element, would it be just in order for us to retain some of the existing is what we're after?
Are you? I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Say I remove the top Palladian portion and say another level
We
below
squared
it.
them off.
I'm cutting
But,
the tops off
You
completely.
know, I think it's more than just,
I think on that, you should just go back to the approved north elevation idea on that one.
Mhm.
Where, because look how much wider the doors are. You've gone from one slider of 3 doors to 3 sets of double. So we've really scaled up the glazing on that to a massive amount. So I think if you go back to your original inspiration in that day, then I think you'd be in better shape.
Yeah, again, it's a value engineering. Those are all existing. That's an issue.
Board members, what do you think?
yeah, because it's either that or you go back to the very original north elevation.
Mhm.
And it gets to your point, this is a new application on top of an approved application, and now you're mixing the original structure with a second-generation application, so
Mhm.
that's why I think you're hearing this, you know, questioning of the consistency of the design. So just reducing or squaring off the Palladiums is still going to leave you with a lot more glass than was either in the original house or the house that was approved.
All right, as a final question, would I be able to keep, say, the first floor existing, and I'll keep the old approved second floor unit? It's just that the
No, I
cost of
understand.
all of those
Here's what-
doors are
Yeah, I mean, that could possibly.
as existing.
Here's
It's just a different.
my suggestion for you
Mhm.
would be to show us an example that has the 3 existing with a different fenestration pattern over them, which isn't this, that
Mhm.
reduces the amount of light, that allows you to keep those lights that you think is harmonious. Because if you take what was in north,
Mhm.
which was purposely about the same width as the windows, and now the windows changed, to simply say take A and B, I think give you the opportunity to make one more swing at truing those in a way that you're comfortable.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Would be fair.
Okay,
we
I
would-
appreciate
yeah, we
everyone's
need to see
time.
it.
Sorry we're
Yeah.
a bit
That's okay.
slow in our
That's okay.
connection.
Are there any comments from the public? Okay, so do you think January 7th, you could be ready by then?
Yeah, your next application would be.
So I'm going to move we accept the applicant's request for an adjournment for 495 Ox Pasture Road to January 7th. Is there a
8th.
second? January 8th, sorry, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you for your time.
We're out of order, hang on. Okay, so now we're at 1384 Meadow Lane.
Sit down, Glenn. Good evening. Should I proceed?
Give us 1 second, everybody's flipping
Oh.
up.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
You said good evening, like just.
All right.
have to do the demo evaluation this time,
What?
right? We didn't vote on that yet. Can we do that vote?
I thought we did.
I thought you did, but I could be wrong.
I think the spirit of it was there, but I don't think we voted.
Okay.
What, not the body?
So basically, you need us to approve the demolition application
Please,
for 1384 Meadow Lane.
please.
Okay. Motion to approve the demo application for 1384. Do we, are we in historic, we have to move to written
Well,
decision?
This would be a motion not
So,
to.
not to
Not to landmark,
landmark.
because we're out of the historic district, that's right. Okay, so motion not to landmark 1384 Meadow Lane. Is there a second? Not to pursue the landmark status for
Second.
1384 Meadow Lane. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are
Thank
your
you.
records better now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thought we did that. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I'm John Bennett from Glen Cordova from BMA Architects is here with me. There were some comments raised at the November 13, thank you, public hearing, and we submitted revised architectural plans and renderings with the board. I'll ask Glenn to present these amended plans, but as a brief summary, I'll note that they have modified the color palette to overall lighter composition, wood changed from black to lighter color, added more opaque and wooden exterior walls. In addition, there's an overall reduction in the glazing on all elevations by 25.9%, including a 15% reduction in glazing on the north elevation. So I'll ask Glenn to present those changes, and depending upon the board's comments, we might have some additional comments, but we'll see what happens.
Hang on one sec. You should have one that says November 3rd.
Yeah, I should. I know that. Well, I have one that I can see. This must be. Look, what is this into this one? They should have dates on them. Wasn't stamped. That's not stamped.
December 5. This one?
Yeah, I have one that just is mysterious.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I did look.
It's December 6th, isn't it?
Good evening, everybody. As John mentioned, I'm Glenn Cordova, partner at BMA Architects.
I'm going to ask you to pull it just a little bit closer because you're soft voice. Thank you.
There you go. So yes, in addition to the color palette and the amount of glazing, the board had also asked for some diagrams that would represent the views from the street and from the beach side as well. So we've incorporated that. Here, just to kick things off also, which we did not mention last time, but I think is relevant, after the existing house is demolished, the location of the new house moves further northward, which falls behind the newly adopted coastal erosion hazard line.
Just a little bit of background. There's an application made to the Zoning Board of Appeals to essentially take down the existing house and move the house location to the north, so further away from the beach. And that application wasn't going so well, so what we did was we withdrew it, and we went to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and they saw the merit of it, and they actually changed the location of the coastal erosion hazard line. So the house site, in other words, where the house is going to be, is significantly further to the north. So essentially, the pool is going to go where the house was, even a little bit further north, and the house will be beyond the north, of course, of the revised coastal erosion
Right.
hazard area.
So just for my clarity, the two structures,
That's the existing, right?
That's the existing.
that's the existing house.
And left is to the north.
Correct. And it's moving back
This is
about
the
close to
existing
100
here.
feet.
And then see, they moved it back.
What, can we go over that one more time? Sorry.
Okay, so the existing house, which is, Glenn is showing with the.
Can you make it larger for the audience to see? Yeah,
Thank you.
perfect. Much better,
The
yeah.
existing house location is surrounded by the red.
Okay.
The proposed house location, or where the house, any house is going to be, is approximately 100 feet to the north, and but still behind the coastal erosion hazard area, which the Department of Environmental Conservation moved for us because it's a very, very, very stable dune and dune system. But what that does do is reduce the vantage point from the passerby on the beach into the house site. So that's, I think it's
Okay.
particularly given your concern.
Okay,
Mr.
good. No, what I was missing
Yeah.
was the compass rose on
I did say
on
left
that
is to the
diagram.
north,
Yeah.
but there's no compass on it. Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
I think particularly given you're concerned about
gotcha. Okay.
passerby impact,
Mhm.
that's as significant as anything.
What about the passerby on the street? Is that now it's closer, right?
Closer by about 100 feet, but it's a pretty deep lot, number one, and as you can see, because
And
there's a tennis court.
What's the
and a-
build-up there for FEMA?
We are about 10 feet above existing grade.
There's no option.
I know it's not an option, I'm just asking.
Which is also about what the existing house is.
Oh.
Right now, it is elevated.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is that because you're going from a
No, you have to.
hipped roof structure to a flat roof structure?
No, the base flood elevation, so where the first floor is residing, is basically the same as the existing house. So the existing house first floor is already raised then.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, moving on. So, as John mentioned, we were asked to revisit the color palette. Previously, we had a black stained, dark brown stained cedar, and we were asked to reconsider that. So, we're proposing now a cedar siding with a very, very light wash to it, kind of in the tan creamish color, which we think would age well over time as well.
And over time, it would age to light gray?
It would depend on the maintenance of the maintenance plan, and typically our homes they have a maintenance plan, and they usually restained or touched up every 2 years or so, depending on the exposure to the sun. But yeah, we would try to avoid the actual light gray right off the bat.
So it would stay that color?
Yes, it would stay this color.
Okay.
In quotes,
That's
say.
Correct. Right. It's a natural material.
That's the hope. Okay.
Right.
On the ocean.
Right. We are maintaining the black anodized aluminum window frames and the stone panels as well. Yeah, we'll get there. So I can go there right away if that's easier. Let's see here.
If that's okay, because that was one
Mhm.
concern.
So what we have here, and I'll
Tell
blow
us
it-
what page you're on that you just jumped to.
Sure, we are on page 19.
19?
Nope, I'm sorry, 20.
20.
So on page 20, it shows the reduction on each elevation. There is no change on the side elevations, on the east and west. Or I'm sorry, on the western, there is no change because we were very sensitive to the neighbors who are right next to the house on both sides. So we've tried to limit fenestration there as best we could from the get-go. But you can see on the other elevations, we have significant reductions here, 15%, 9.6%, and obviously the 1.3 is minimal.
But, so the south elevation, is there a reduction there?
On the south elevation,
9.6%,
we have 9.6%, correct?
but it's 60% glass on that elevation, is that correct?
Correct. And that is up here on the screen right now. And if you recall, it was mostly glass. What we've done is we've introduced these wood panels here and over here on the side, blocking out that, and then additionally also on the side of this window here.
And you have to remember that it's also, there's a significant recess.
But
It-
what is the point of that, John?
The point of the recess? is
It's
that as the
still a
board-
light box.
Yeah, but as the board acknowledged in that.
I didn't, I don't know what board you're
Well,
talking
no,
about.
no,
It's
no,
not
I'm
me.
just, I
He hasn't
didn't
told us-
say you
he
were
hasn't
doing
told
it
us
on
we
this.
acknowledged yet.
I didn't say you were doing it on this one, but as the board acknowledged on that Roger Ferris house at the end of it, what was it? I can always forget. Was it
Ox
again?
pasture.
Ox pasture, I'm sorry, I forget. That was that's a significant reduction in and of itself. The physical effect of it is that you don't have these panes out, leading edge panes out in front
But-
projecting light.
When, okay, I'm not gonna argue with you, but I don't agree with you. How's that?
Keep going.
The rendering you
Wait,
just.
Are you through? Do you have more to present?
No, I just wanted to ask a question on the rendering that you just had before. That was of the previous one, no?
No, this is,
That's the deal.
That's the new
one.
That's
This
in
is
the
the new one.
beige palette with all.
so, correct, this is the
But
change.
I'm looking at page 20 and I'm not
No, we're
seeing.
not on 20 anymore.
Oh, this is.
No, I
yeah.
know, but when we're on.
This is 19 that we're currently on the
Okay,
screen.
so,
Okay, so why don't you go back to, you were along at about 17, continue us on through, and we'll stop jumping around, let you finish your presentation, then we'll start jumping you around.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit here. I'll just go through all the slides here. So here is the approach from the front, from the Meadow Lane side.
Okay.
Okay, keeping forward. This is just as we're getting closer to the house, and what we did, we had a similar strategy where we added these panels in between instead of having wall-to-wall glass there in multiple locations on the first and second floor throughout the front elevation. This is as you're getting closer, so you can see the recess here too, which we do think is relevant because with such a deep overhang and the actual glass being 10 feet behind this wall right here, and the entry being about 30 feet behind, we do think that the light emission will be cut down by that. Continuing, this is the side elevation, the eastern side, which has not really changed except for the palette. And then here's a good example of where we cut down on the glazing on the front elevation on the Meadow Lane side. Previously, this was all wall-to-wall glass, and we introduced these panels here. The other one, which you can't see, is behind this tree, but that's in the dining room.
Look at the side elevation, it's essentially no glass.
I'm not worried about this one.
Okay.
Part of it, that is,
Moving on.
This one we reviewed already, 19. 20 we reviewed. Okay,
Wait, what happened to 19? Did we look at that already?
we did. I can pull it back up again. This was the proposed new south elevation, the new color palette, similar strategy of infilling panels.
So,
Okay.
Okay, and then on 20, this is a view from Meadow Lane itself. You can see that the landscaping does, which is designed by LaGuardia Design Group, does those carefully placed trees do cover the entry and screen it from the street.
There's also a tennis court in front of it, which
Yep.
had to be elevated, in effect, well, not elevated, it had to be. There's a rather elaborate construction of the tennis court, a fair amount of fill had to be brought in because the board wanted, the village wanted the tennis court sunken, so the only way it couldn't adapt to groundwater, to sink it,
Just to raise it.
is to raise it.
Correct.
But that, it of course has screening around it as well.
Okay, keep
but
going.
that's low screening.
Excuse me?
The screening around the tennis court, your house is elevated way above that, right? 'Cause
Correct.
In the landscaping plan, how large are you saying those trees are going to be? Because they look like they're half the size of the house.
These are crepe myrtles, so they generally grow about 15 feet.
No, but what will they be when they're planted?
When they're planted, they'll probably be 10 to 15. Typically, LaGuardia Design Group would plant very mature trees, especially in prominent locations like that.
Okay.
So that's the street view from daytime. This is the street view from nighttime. Okay, this is just another angle from the daytime. Okay, these are showing the neighbors actually, so
This
not
is-
much to see there. But,
Like a dark cat in a dark room. Okay.
okay, keep going.
the neighbor to the right.
Yep. And again, that's them at night. Now here is us showing the neighbors as well from the beach, and depicted in the middle is 1384, which is again 100 feet back from where the original house was. You can see that you're not seeing much above the dune. And then here's that same view at night. And that is it.
Okay, now board members.
The lights weren't on in the other ones.
Well, correct. I mean, it's only so much we can do in terms of the neighbors.
No, I understand.
But yeah, there's not much to see
From a
there.
contrast point of view, I just wanted to, we didn't
Yes.
put lights on the neighbor's house.
Yeah, right now I see your house glowing with nobody else by it.
Yeah.
Nobody's home.
Yeah.
In the other homes.
But I think what's significant there is what you're seeing glowing is a sliver, because of the height of the dune and the fact that we are retreated from the dune another 100 feet now.
Okay. Board members.
I'm keeping my mouth closed right now.
Anything, Jeff?
Okay. So I appreciate the improvements being made to lessen the starkness of the materials. I think that's a plus. The reduction of fenestration is a plus. I'm a little hesitant on the change to the change to the front. You went down 15 points from 55 to 40% fenestration. On the rear, less so, from 59% to 50% roughly. And of course, that's the beach side, and a little bit more reduction would be my preference, but then I look at the design and I'm not sure that that would be additive or detrimental to the design. Because I'm on page 19, right, you've got a bedroom that has glass up until a wall. Yeah, I guess the biggest exposure is what's, I guess, a living room to
Yes,
the...
it's a second floor living room over a first floor.
Right. And then the room to the east of that is a bedroom.
The room to the east of that, where the cursor is right now.
Right.
That is the second floor kitchen. It's an upside down house.
Okay.
The kitchen is upstairs with an
Okay.
outdoor. With an outdoor
Gotcha.
area.
And is that recessed back from the windows on the bedroom?
Correct.
Of the living room? And
Yes.
about how much?
Probably about 10, 15 feet.
10,
'cause
15
there is room for
feet.
seating out there as well.
Yeah. I know, Susan, we may differ on this, but I think the effect of recessing the windows, or at least the living areas, and will have a dampening effect on the light exposure. So I'm generally okay. Would I like to see less glass? Yes. So I'll turn it over to you folks.
Lightening the house up has made a great improvement. I think it sits interestingly on the land. I think the reduction in glazing, you've done a great job. The only thing that we've been pretty consistent about as a board is approving clear front doors, because right now you have a see-through house. So if I'm on Meadow, I can see all the way through the house.
Can I make a comment about that?
Except for the landscape.
What?
Can I make a comment about that?
No, because it's my opinion right now. It's the one thing you've seen us not approve.
But you
is-
said
is
nobody's
glass front
perfect,
doors.
right? So
So if you can figure out a non-glass front door situation, it's going to cure two of your problems. I think it's going to cut down a little bit of the light issue heading toward Meadow, where the bigger concern is. And I think it's going to also sort of rearrange sort of the light infusion at the center of the house.
Does landscaping come into play on that?
Because, I have, leaves fall off trees, dead of winter,
Here
lights come
today,
forward.
gone
Your neighbor,
tomorrow.
some of your neighbors across the street do live there in the winter. So we take that into consideration. So I think that, first of all, looking for Meadow Lane to do a see-through house and that, and also just we've been pretty consistent even in modern houses about glass front doors.
And we did get a letter from a neighbor.
And we did.
Comments on that letter.
Okay,
Well, I just.
It was sent to us.
It's on the
I
record.
have some big comments on that.
Okay, well, I'm
But-
just saying,
but
we
that-
did get a letter from a neighbor
that
living
that one you don't
across
get to comment, okay.
full-time, and it is a lot of glass, so maybe
And it sits up high, I mean, nobody's talking, you know, it sits up high, they're putting 3 trees in front of it. On that side, the rest of it, I think, is actually the
I think you've come,
lightning
I think you've come a long way.
of
I think,
the,
I think you've listened to
materials.
us.
Great.
The lighter materials, I think, sits much better in the land than the darker materials did. And the birds might not find it as easily. You've heard the comments of the board. That would be my one.
Right. One question, in regards to the glass front door, I think I know the answer. The actual front door here is perpendicular to Meadow Lane, so you enter on the side, but what you're seeing through is just a glass wall. That's the concern, not necessarily whether the door is placed.
Well, actually, we don't like clear glass front doors, as a rule. So if that what I'm seeing in the front is not the door, we don't like houses that you can see all the way through.
Okay.
Then
Understood.
there's real trouble. How can you see through it? You can see through it in other places, can't you?
Well, right now you can see from Meadow to the ocean.
I'm sure more than once. Yep.
So,
Anyway, if I may, regarding the see-through aspect, I don't see any element of the code that suggests there's anything
It's,
other than
it's
the.
our,
And this,
John, it isn't in the code.
please let me finish. I don't think there's anything other than the subjective dislike of some of the board members, and that's by its very nature was arbitrary. And I just can't help, I've been reading this great book by Alex Beam called Broken Glass about the Farnsworth House outside of Chicago. And if that had been the standard, neither the Farnsworth House nor the Johnson Glass House in New Canaan whenever would have been built. And these are pantheons of modern architecture to really, torture a metaphor or a simile. But I think you're really treading on a subjective dislike of the board members,
No,
which doesn't key into any of the standards.
actually, I actually think when I look at architecture harmonious with the neighborhood and concern for the neighbors that it does.
Okay.
And you've
all
heard this is not, not picking on this house. You've heard this on every house that we've seen for quite a few years with glass front doors.
Okay. That doesn't, in any event, we'll look at your comments. But I do have to say something very pointed about the letter of Ms. Feldman.
Can I just, before you go to
Okay,
the
yeah,
letter,
no, go.
I know.
just-
No.
I think that was a letter to the board. I don't know that it's asked
Not
for your
to you.
opinion on it.
Well, it's in the record, I get to comment.
You
Is
can
that not
comment
right?
on it.
I can
Okay.
comment on it.
Sure.
just in regards to the see-through aspect of the house, we did take that into consideration, and
Lessened it, yes.
I failed to point out that on the second floor, it's a little bit hard to see, but we have these slats now
Mhm.
to provide screening and to cut down on the light emission. So it is no longer a two-story see-through house, it's just the first floor.
It's the first one.
Good.
So it wasn't, I
Good.
didn't
So-
hear what you were saying.
Okay.
So in theory, you could repeat that on the
In
first
theory,
floor.
we will certainly explore it. Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
But I do want to, it's very important for the record to just get in. Ms. Philbin is the wife of the chairman of the zoning board of appeals, his residence is the same house as the chairman's, I would suggest. As I discussed before, our client's property was the subject of variances at the zoning board of appeals, even though we noticed Mr. Greenwald because he was within 200 feet, he didn't recuse himself. As a matter of fact, he took active part, I have to put this in the record, he took active part in the zoning board of appeals colloquy.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a resident.
What?
He's a resident.
He's an
Yeah,
affected
but we
neighbor.
withdrew the application, went to the DEC, who said they couldn't understand why the ZBA wouldn't have granted a variance. Disappointed that his position on the size and location of the house is thwarted, Mr. Greenwald's wife has now objected to the application. Putting that in there, I think it taints her application. So, I think it taints her objection.
Well,
Well, then-
if she lives across the street, she's got a problem with the house. That's
Okay.
She
She's
is
a
an
resident.
affected neighbor. She's across the street. Okay. Do we have any
So
comments
the
from the
board know
public?
that.
And actually, we didn't know that. now that
I'm
you
glad we,
told us.
I'm glad I told you.
Just so you
Are
want to
there,
know.
Sage, any comments from the public? Okay.
Well, if you can adjourn it for us, when can
Can
you be
you be
ready
ready
in
by
the
the
first
7th?
meeting in January?
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to set the applicant's request at 1384 Meadow Lane to January 8th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
You'll miss us for a whole month. All right.
I doubt it.
All right.
About it.
That brings us to adjourn. Nope, we got adjourn. Next, we have new matters, David and Holly Scher at 303 First Neck Lane for driveway gates.
Oh,
Hello.
hi. Your name, please?
Charles Collins, for John Hummel Custom Builders in Southampton, on behalf of the shares. So we would like to propose adding a driveway gate.
Do you have pictures?
Yeah.
It should face
Oh.
us. I know it's.
I have Charlie's affidavits. They're in order. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I did ask at the beginning if you had them. Okay. Sage, if you could grab that, that would be great. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah, so we would like to add a driveway gate for the service driveway, which is located on Great Plains Road. Currently, I have some photos of the existing site right now. There is already driveway gates for the main entrance to the main property on First Neck. There's two, it's a semicircular driveway. And then for now, they would like to add a gate in the back for the pool, service, and garbage, and landscapers to access the property, so they don't have to go through the main property when they're going to work on everything in the house. Well, the gate, they would like to have a gate to protect the property from deer and.
Okay, now we're into it.
Where's the?
Well,
Site
I mean, we
plan?
don't consider why someone needs a gate.
No, but
Because
they have more than.
I
there
didn't
is.
look at it, I only looked at it.
It's not the main driveway, so. Oh, I don't know.
They already have a curb cut. You have an approved
Yeah, they
curb
have a
cut.
curb
That's
cut,
what I was
yeah.
trying to get to.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I got a curb cut approval.
So where is it? Do you want to put up
Your survey?
the site plan and just
Yes,
point to
this-
us where?
So this, yeah, so there's actually currently a gate located there. It's just a construction gate because there's actually other work being done at the property.
Right.
This is a copy of the survey. Sorry, it's not bigger.
It's okay.
That shows where
Yes.
the driveway or the construction gate is, and
Oh,
that's
oh,
where
okay,
it
I'm
will
sorry,
be.
I was looking
That's
up here.
right. That's where it will be.
Okay.
It'll be in the same spot.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Gotcha, okay.
So over here, where the parking areas and everything off of First Neck Lane,
That doesn't change.
that doesn't
That's
change.
staying the
This is
same.
just an additional
Okay,
gain.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
off the- Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And go through the materials again, please.
Oh, yeah, so it will be, it's all wood. Right now, Ed Hollander Designs drew it. I believe it was originally spec'd as clear cedar, but it's being painted. We'd like to paint it a black forest green or somewhere that color. I think the idea is a hedgerow along the whole side of the property, and kind of, since it's a service gate and it's not a focal point of the property, they want it to be somewhat muted and hidden within the landscape of that side of the road.
Okay.
So we're in the process right now, value engineering it, because it is gonna be painted, probably don't need clear cedar to be it just seems like a waste of good material to be painted.
Good. Now you can make it out of eat-pay.
Yeah.
Knock some
That'd be
cost
it.
up for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's and then I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I know you don't like having call boxes separate from the.
Right.
We do not.
So the idea is right now, and that's the other thing, the homeowner's still working a little bit on the exact specs on how it's gonna work, but I believe there won't be a call box at all. It's just gonna be on auto. That we just pull up.
That's what most people are doing now.
Yeah, just pull up and it opens. There won't be any, it's really just because the property has tons of hydrangea, and if the deer get in there, they just go crazy. And they're worried that if the pool guy leaves the gate open, somebody's,
Okay.
just, you'll have an issue with, the landscaping, have to come back and plant some new hydrangeas.
Okay.
How tall is it? The post?
6,
Post is,
about 6 feet.
The deer can jump that, just by the way.
Yeah, I know. I think the idea is
to deter.
deter them. I mean, you can't keep them out 100%,
Wait a few
And your,
months,
and your
it's
picket
gonna
width,
get
your
really
picket width is,
intense.
your picket width is 2.5,
Yes.
and your space between them looks like 3.
Right, the white is the
Yeah, I'm
open
looking,
space.
I'm looking upside down.
So I ran the math on it, so
Okay.
that achieves 40%. Okay, board members?
No objections.
If you paint it green, maybe not black green, maybe more like a hunter green?
Like a
I think
hunter.
that's,
Yeah.
So lighter than it's,
No,
they called for
I don't think we should.
black forest green. This picture's not great. Like my printing didn't come out. I don't have it looks more black in this. I don't think that's the idea. I think they want it more green.
Yeah.
It
hunter
just,
green.
with the printer, I think it just didn't look great.
Do you have the manufacturer? Is it the Benjamin Moore?
Benjamin Moore, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a deep green. Okay.
So would you like something a little lighter?
No, I think it's.
Okay.
What then?
What's the name of it, Charlie?
It's Benjamin Moore Black Forest Green.
Okay.
Are there any comments from the public? Okay. Okay, so,
I have to rate
Yeah,
this one.
she has
Yeah.
to do it.
so motion to move to written decision, to approve driveway gates at 303 First Neck Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that pulls us to that pulls us to 50 Hildreth Street.
Then again. Here we go. All right.
Okay.
Hi, folks. Michael Maron here for East Hampton Fence and Gate. This is a little manual, 4-foot-high wood gate painted white at 50 Hildreth. 18, 20 feet off the street. Very transparent. Last time we were here, we got hung up on the distance of what was 18 or 20 feet off the street. I since stopped there and painted a line on the driveway at 20 feet. Hope that was helpful. But there is landscaping. There's some 4 or 5 foot hydrangea.
I think the issue is where it was showing on the survey was at 30 feet.
It wasn't quite to scale.
Yeah, it was at 30 feet. So where you had it
No,
on.
but it was labeled at 20 feet.
But it wasn't drawn correctly. So don't worry about it. But that's what the problem is, because we walked it and spent time looking for your paint line. Okay? And these are the existing gates that are still standing at the back of the house, right?
Yes.
Okay. Board members?
With that clarified now.
Yeah. Because the problem was where they had drawn it on the survey.
Yeah.
It was way back.
Was 30 feet
Yeah.
back. So when you looked at it,
Like
it didn't
Yeah.
look like attached to
Sahara
anything.
Desert
Yep.
back there.
Okay?
I have no objection.
No objection.
No objections. Okay, so a motion to accept the
Fifth time's the
application
charm.
for the driveway gate
I
at
know.
50 Hildreth Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
It's
Aye.
always, all right, Michael, take care.
Next up is 134 Murray.
You all right?
Oh, is it wrapped around the chair?
There you are, sir.
Okay.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Gate Systems representing 134 Murray Lane. So, as we left it off at our last meeting, what I did here was, first I met with Alex, and we included some detail in here so you can actually see the face frame behind there. But what we did was we took out horizontal slats, increased the spacing.
Great. That's what was needed. Okay.
And
For the public record, can you put a picture down so the public can see
sure.
it?
And I also have that photo that presents, that's looking up the driveway. So this gate would be closing off a driveway that's 340 feet long with no house there. The house is, you have to swing over to the left.
And just take us through into the materials one more time, just for the record. It's mahogany, it's not painted.
It is teak, and it will be painted white.
It's a very nice wood to paint over.
It is.
Except, I hate to tell you this, the only thing is, are you looking at plans dated 12/6?
My plan is here now.
Doesn't it say mahogany?
December 7th.
Yeah, I have December 7th.
No,
No.
this is
12/6.
December 6th?
From last year?
Mahogany.
No, no, no.
Oh, it says mahogany.
Yeah, it says mahogany.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It just says it on yours
Cross
too.
it out.
So are they teak or are they mahogany?
It's going to be teak.
Okay,
Teak painted white.
okay,
The same finish that Benjamin Moore Simply White.
okay.
Why not mahogany?
Weight, well, they're both heavy.
Money.
I just.
There's weight. Board members?
What is the
ma-
spacing? Is it correct?
Yeah.
You've got way too many
Yes.
pieces of paper.
1.9 inches.
Okay, thank you.
I ran the math on it.
And then
So do we have to correct these plans?
I'll do that in the motion.
Okay.
and then the mechanism, but this is, you're saying it's how far off the street?
This gate
Yeah.
is 30 feet.
30 feet off.
It's when you go beyond the gates.
Yeah.
And we went through the mechanism before, just, can you go through it one more time? There's no mechanism's on a column.
As far as access control,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the keypad on the column.
On the column. Okay.
Yeah.
And those columns are made of stone?
They're the same stone veneer that's on the house.
That's this, okay. Board members, any other questions, comments?
No.
Any questions or comments or questions from the public? Alice, question? He can just mark his own plan because it's his design.
Fine by me.
Okay.
But we're not gonna
Okay, so,
Scrape off the paint to see what.
no, just for the record, you know me, the record. Motion to accept the application for driveway gate at 317 Murray Place. No, you're at 134 Murray Lane, with the stipulation that would change from mahogany to teak on the plan. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
If you could just
All right.
take the plans for me, and take 2 sets of them. And just make that manual mark and then hand them off. Okay, that brings us up to new matters, 317 Murray Place. Do you have affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Great, thank you. Hello?
Hello, happy Monday night.
Happy Monday
Yeah.
night.
Happy holiday.
You know, to be the last person on 8:20 is not so bad for this
Right.
meeting.
Yeah, and Mark's usually the last one.
Yeah.
I have a big plan, so maybe I'll save you that.
That's great. I like big plans.
Very big plans.
Okay, the other thing I'm going to ask is that you pull the microphone over and speak into it so the public can hear you.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we're not gonna break the both of them.
Yeah, no. 314.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Jackson Crandall, LaGuardia Design Group on behalf of the applicant. Today we seek approval for a 6-foot-high driveway gate.
Right into the microphone.
Sure. 6-foot-high driveway gate. The lot's located at the southern end of Murray Place, a private road. The gate is set approximately 21.5 feet from the edge of paving.
Sorry. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. The gate's set 21.5 feet from the edge of paving, 6 feet high measured from the ground. And be constructed with teak pickets left natural to age. This matches the materiality of the residence. Each picket is 1.5 inches wide. The gap between each picket is 4.5 inches wide. They're monolithic pieces strung on that steel frame, so the picket depth is 6 inches. The metal frame itself will be a powder-coated bronze. This also speaks to kind of the natural restrained materials on the architecture.
Okay.
gate mechanism will be free entry. There will be a pad located just in front of the post in the hedge for pedestrian access. There'll be no lighting on the gate.
Back up, what does that mean, just in front of the post in the hedge?
The post is set in the middle of the privet hedge, and so if the keypad were to be on the column, you would have to like reach through the hedge. So I show it in plan here.
Okay.
Set in the hedge. So there'll be no visibility, gooseneck, anything from the right of way.
Is that, I believe that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's the post.
Gate operator utilities is over here.
Oh, right.
Jeff, it's here.
Yeah.
Just in front of the post.
This one.
In
Oh,
the
this one. Okay.
front face of the hedge, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So it is a
Yep.
call box.
Right, just for pedestrian, you know, if you walk to your neighbors and want to
Yeah.
be able to get in, you can press the button.
Okay.
That privet hedge is existing, so we're.
Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, if it's hidden in the hedges like that and it's not a gooseneck,
Right, yes.
I assume, was that?
I'm not, so it has a metal frame that shows?
Correct, so in this section detail, you can kind of see that
I'm
those,
not in favor of that. I think it calls too much attention to the gate. So the frame shows.
the frame is shows, but it's recessed because those pickets fully wrap around that metal frame. If
But
you
the-
see in section
This is-
3.
Yes,
No,
you can
he's
see the
talking
frame.
about-
There's a contemporary
No,
She's
of
talking
the frame.
about that.
Right.
This one.
It's attached to the frame.
Right, I've
Right.
got that. I don't hear it.
The pickets are kind of strung on the necklace,
Right.
so to say.
I'm not crazy about that. I just think it calls attention to the gate in a way that's unnecessary. I hope these would be less obtrusive. Yes, I don't,
Do you have a
here.
color
Here we go.
sample of
There you
the,
go.
oh, I see what you're
Can't
saying.
find mine, but that's what,
The
how
You
far
know,
back is it?
Well, if he had come in here, well, I'm sorry, your first name again?
Thaxton.
What's that?
Thaxton.
Thaxton?
Thaxton.
Great name.
Thank you.
If he'd come in here with a black gate with pickets, we've done black gates. And yeah, does it draw attention to the gate? It does, but I think that's part of the art of
Okay,
it.
I don't like it.
Would I necessarily do that? No, I think you have a much softer look if it was either a lighter tone, and whether that's a matter of the rendering or not, and maybe we benefit from seeing the actual materials.
It's a design feature, he said that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
this is gonna be black behind it, or it's
Yeah.
gonna be,
A bronze color.
It's bronze.
okay.
It's going to read black, but it's bronze.
Yeah, okay.
I have a sample I can.
Okay.
I brought a sample of black too, just to show,
Yeah.
you know, we don't want a black.
Yeah, but,
I understand.
good.
And I just want to say too that those pickets are monolithic, right? They're 6 inches deep, and so that frame is set back. It's not
It's
as
still-
present.
You can see it, I mean, I just.
I get what you're saying, and I get what Susan said.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
And, you know, we're trying to respect the board's desire for transparency in
And
these
you've done a great
gates.
job.
And so we're
My-
trying to strike the balance of
My question would be, could
transparency.
Sorry, Sage. My question would be, could you strike the balance in the bronze? Could you go with a lighter bronze so it didn't feel so heavy?
Sure.
I personally think from where it's located in the house it is from, I actually think it's great. I think what you're hearing is that the heaviness of the frame takes away actually from the monolithic of the picket, and I think the issue is color.
Yeah.
So if the bronze frame was not bronze, but a much lighter color to where it was not the prominent feature, rather the pickets were, I think
Right.
that's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
That's what you're hearing.
So that would be my comment.
Okay.
The question is, board members, do we want to see another sample? I think we probably do.
Yeah. You'd have to.
Another evening with the ARB.
Happy New Year.
Very funny.
So from where it is, I think it's unique. In a world where everything looks a lot alike, I think it's unique. I think it's unique to the house. It's harmonious with the street that it's on because there's a lot of contemporary structures down there. The one issue, the one thing that gives it a visual weight that I think is unnecessary is the color of the frame. So
Sure.
if you're amenable to bringing us a different color of the frame, then it will probably go well.
Absolutely.
Okay, do we have any comments from the public? All right, so you can bring us a
Adjourn.
different color by January the 8th?
Exactly.
Okay. So you would like us to adjourn to January the 8th is what I'm
Correct.
hearing. Okay. So motion to approve the client's request for adjournment for 317 Murray Place LLC to January 8th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And I think the last piece of business we have is with Alex, which I think is the holiday schedule.
Yes, I think we provided a draft meeting calendar for 2024.
Okay.
We have that for you to look at. There's a slight change in the deadline for one of the upcoming meetings because of the village hall closing early due to the holidays. And then if possible, we would also like the board to make a new appointment to the sign subcommittee.
Okay. Here's one thing I want to tell you. We need to remove December 23rd. We had talked about that, I think.
Okay.
So that would just give us one meeting in October, one in November, one in December.
Too bad, but that's
Okay, because no one's showing up on December 23rd.
I'll review now.
Okay. So other than that, we've taken the holidays off, and we checked the rest. The rest are not conflicting. So are you guys comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
But what, Ravit's making another,
Well, what we'll say is we're fine with this schedule as long as you take December 23rd off. And what meeting does it mess up the materials for? January 8th?
So I think it's the next item on the agenda. Let me just make sure I get this right.
For
So the
January
cutoff date-
22nd.
Oh, January 22nd, okay.
January
because
22nd,
there's a
yeah.
well, January 22nd is a Monday, it has to be, right?
Yes, so that's the board's meeting date, and so the cutoff that the building department is gonna accept materials is gonna be Thursday, December 21st at noon. It's usually a Friday, but because Village Hall is closing early for the Christmas holiday, we're just moving that up.
Oh.
No, that's fine.
Oh, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna try not to
Okay.
be actually working on
And I'm going
Christmas
to,
Eve, if you don't mind. I'll try.
For right now, would you like to serve on the signage committee? You're on the, would you like to serve on the signage committee?
I'll be with Jeff.
You'll be with Jeff?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm on the demo
There
and
you
the
go.
signage.
We're gonna add, well, demo's sort of all coming here.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we're gonna add Jane is
I
going
have
to
that
join
effect on women.
on the signage committee.
I've already done it.
Okay.
Alice, do you need a reso for that, or no, I don't remember.
What?
No, you don't need a resolution to appoint someone to a committee.
No.
No,
Yeah,
we're not gonna do it.
We don't need it.
Why don't you just vote on
Sure.
appointing her to the committee?
Okay,
Right.
everybody in favor of Jane serving on the signage committee?
Aye.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So,
Because in the past,
Congratulations.
I've been like, you're on it.
yes, Jane,
All right, with that,
Motion.
motion to close this meeting of the Architecture Review Board and Historic Preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.